Welcome back, folks, to WrestleRant, where I run down all the pay-per-views that I watch on the WWE Network. Of course, the entire month of October is devoted to old No Mercy shows as seen on the network. Today, we're talking about No Mercy 2000. So, opening the event, the Dudley Boys Invitational Tables match that involved the Dudley Boys, Right to Censor, Too Cool, The Lowdown, which was D'Lo Brown and Chaz or something like that, and maybe one other team. But just, I think, 4 or 5 teams, only went about 10 minutes. All tables matches, too. It was basically a gauntlet match, and the Dudley Boys ended up winning by lastly eliminating Right to Censor, Godfather, and Bull Buchanan. But yeah, a fun match. I mean, it wasn't anything on the line. A typical tables match, and a lot better of an opener. I mean, it was an amazing match. Not one of the greatest tag team matches I've ever seen from the Dudley Boys. But it beats the hell out of the openers we've been getting at other No Mercy shows between Midian and Tiger Ali Singh and Gilbert in the UK show in 1999, and The Godfather and whoever else in the year before this at No Mercy 1999. This was a lot better of an opener than those were. But then again, though, I love the Dudley Boys. It was great just seeing them in action. Those guys are so great. I'm on such a Dudley Boys high this week after them coming back in the last month. I mean, just especially this week after they just contended for the titles, and last night contended for the titles against New Day. I'm on such a Dudley Boys high that I just love this match probably a lot more than I should have. But nothing on the line, a good match, and a decent way of opening the show. After that, we were supposed to get the APA and Lita against TNA, Tess and Albert, and Trish Stratus. But because the Acolytes were laid out before the matchup never really came to fruition. They beat up Lita before the match anyway. They came on out and they were all, they just surrounded Lita. Trish was just beating the crap out of her, so I lied. So I said in past videos that 2002 was the unofficial start to the Lita and Trish feud, when it really goes back to 2000 when they were brawling on this show, so who would have thunk? But anyway, she's beating up Lita before the Hardys come out and make the save, so no match there, can't really rate it, but it was a fine furthering of the storyline and kind of kept the feud alive with the Hardy Boys and Lita against TNA and Trish Stratus. So after that, we had Jericho and X-Pac in a steel cage match. I don't know if this is the match that they watched on Jericho's DVD, the Road is Jericho DVD. I know one of their many matches is on there. But it was a good match, though. Jericho and X-Pac always had good matches. I talked about that in my review of Unforgiven 2000 as well. They had a match on that show. And I don't think X-Pac will ever be remembered as one of Jericho's greatest opponents, but they always worked well together. They had fine chemistry, just kind of good matches, and the steel cage was not really all that necessary, but I did appreciate the finish when Jericho locked in the walls of Jericho on top of the cage and utilized the wire, which he said in his DVD. No one had ever really done that before. No one had ever seen that before, so that was cool. But it was weird, though, because Jericho was coming off his amazing series of matches with Benoit for almost all of 2000, and they really never did anything with him after that. They put him in this feud with X-Pac, which was fine. It could have done a lot worse, but I feel like they just should have done a lot more with Jericho coming out of that amazing series of matches than what they did. Benoit would go on and, feud with Triple H, which I'll get to in a minute, and a great match in the show, but Jericho they could have done more with coming out of that hot feud. After that, we had Right to Censor, Val Venus and Steven Richards taking on China, Mr. Ass. Throw-in match. Eddie Guerrero was feuding with China that period in time, and he wasn't even in the match. He would cost China the win, therefore giving the win to Right to Censor. But the match itself sucked. And without Eddie, it really didn't mean anything, so the match was just kind of throwaway. Right to Censor won. After that, we had Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Rikishi, and this was only days after it was revealed that Rikishi was the one who drove down Stone Cold Steve Austin, hit him with his car the year prior, and it led to this matchup happening. It wasn't even a match, it was more of a brawl. They took it to the outside, and Steve Austin just beat the living shit out of Rikishi. They wanted to protect both men. Austin just came back. Rikishi, they're just trying to push to the moon at this period in time, which didn't really work, but they tried, so I applaud that effort. So they didn't want to beat either guy, so they just went with a non-finish, which is fine. We had a non-finish earlier on with the match that never really got started, but I digress. It was an entertaining brawl. It's just that Rikishi... Really, Rikishi, I like the guy. I think he's a good wrestler. I think he's a great entertainer. But as a main eventer, much less against Stone Cold Steve Austin, couldn't take him seriously. Even when he was in badass mode and trying to act like a dominant heel, just couldn't take him seriously. Again, applaud the effort. I applaud the effort. It's just that he was not on Stone Cold's level. So I was not shocked when he beat the living shit out of Rikishi on the outside of the arena. So after that, we had William Regal versus Naked Midian for the European Championship. Thank God William Regal won, but this matchup was fucking awful. I love William Regal, but man, Naked Midian was such a dumb gimmick. I didn't even know that existed. This guy goes from being an intimidating figure, as intimidating as possibly can be, when he was a part of Ministry of Darkness. Going from that to doing the Naked Midian stuff when he was essentially naked, almost bare naked, butt naked, He just had like a fucking fanny pack covering his junk, and that was it. And that was very disturbing. So I feel for William Regal for having to participate in this shit. So do not watch this match. If you watch this pay-per-view, just skip right over it. William Regal won, thank God. But and it was funny too because he was gonna lock in the Regal stretch, but he's like, I'm not gonna put my dick in your butt when it was gross. When he locks in the Regal stretch and this guy has nothing on, so he didn't want to lay on top of him, so he just hit the neck breaker instead. I thought that was funny, but otherwise this was trash. After that, for the World Tag Team titles, we had Los Conquistadores defeating the Hardy Boys. Los Conquistadores will take over Los Matadors any fucking day of the week. They're so much better. Certainly not their best match. It was a lot better than, of course, the Los Conquistadors were Edge and Christian in disguise. They would meet up backstage after the match, Los Conquistadors and Edge and Christian, but obviously it was just someone else in the masks for that period of time because during the match it was Edge and Christian. Not one of their better matches, but I thought it was a great feud though. It was a very fun angle with them trying to steal the titles from them in the masks, and Edge and Christian were so goddamn great on their own, so you can't really fault them for that. But we would also get throughout the show, I forgot to mention it, but we would have Mick Foley as the commissioner too, doing a few backstage segments, which was always entertaining. I found out about that when I watched Mick Foley's DVD a couple years ago and watching old pay-per-views with him as the commissioner on it. He was so great in that role. They never really should have taken him out of that role because I thought he was so entertaining in that role. But great to watch him in the various backstage segments on this show. Second to final match on this event, we had Triple H taking on Chris Benoit. Nothing on the line, just personal hatred for one another after Benoit cost Triple H a shot at the WWF title. Fantastic match. But first of all, I didn't even know they feuded before 2004. I thought they just feuded over the World Heavyweight title in 2004 and that was it. But I guess they had a match. They had a couple matches in 2000. I couldn't really make out who the heel was here because Chris Benoit was like stalking Stephanie and beating her up, and he was costing Triple H wins. But Triple H at this period of time was still a dick. Like 2000 was his fucking year. So I don't know if he was babyface. I don't think so. So I don't know what they were trying to go for. I didn't really care because the match was fucking great. Benoit was made to look like $1 million against Triple H. And again, Benoit was not a guy that a couple years later they did not know he would go on to become world champion. He was involved in the main event, I'm pretty sure, at Unforgiven the month prior. But other than that, though, they never really saw Benoit as a main event level star. The same guy who was a vanilla midget in WCW. So for them to put him in a feud with Triple H and almost come close to beating him, didn't beat him, but he came close, was a huge testament to how much they thought of him, at least as an upper echelon guy at this period of time. Never really had any thoughts of putting the belt on him, I guess. But for them to put him in a feud with Triple H and come close to beating him and giving him the opportunity to have great matches with Triple H really said a lot about how they viewed him in 2000. But fantastic match, a very good story told with Stephanie coming out and helping him win as well, helping Triple H win, and he scored the victory. So great stuff there. We get to the main event, Kurt Angle taking on The Rock for the WWF Championship, the third consecutive No Mercy pay-per-view in a row with a no disqualification stipulation in the main event. Entertaining match. They would have better matches down the line. Kurt Angle 2000 was also his year, going from winning the European title, the IC title, the King of the Ring Championship, the King of the Ring title. They're just the King of the Ring tournament, you know what I mean. But 2000 was Kurt Angle's year. Hot-shotting it straight to the main event scene, going for the WWF title on the show, winning the championship on this show, so a huge moment, cool moment for Kurt Angle. A good match, not a great match. Like I said, they would have better matches down the line. We'd have a lot of interference from Rikishi in this match and Triple H and whatever. So that kind of bogged down the match quality just a little bit. I mean, it wasn't too shocking considering it was still the Attitude Era, and that's essentially all the Attitude Era was in a nutshell, was interference after interference after interference, but good match nevertheless, and I like the result of Kurt Angle winning his first WWF Championship. So on the whole, good show. I enjoyed it. I thought No Mercy 1999, the last pay-per-view I reviewed, not the UK version, that was awful, but the 99 No Mercy, the one that took place after the UK version, was great. It just had more monumental matches, like the main event and the ladder match and the Good Housekeeping match, if you can really classify that or label that as monumental. This had a handful of good matches, nothing too great, but it was an enjoyable show, though. The opener was fun. APA, that match never happened. Jericho and X-Pac was good. The other tag team match with Right to Censor and China Mr. Oz, kind of throwaway. Rikishi and Austin, they furthered that feud. Entertaining for what it was. Regal and Naked Midian, wasted time. Conquistadors and Hardy Boys, they would have better matches, but it was good for what it was. Triple H and Benoit, hands down match tonight, phenomenal stuff, and a good main event. So, on the whole, in a nutshell, would classify this as a good show. I'd give it a thumbs up. Check it out if you want. If you don't check it out, you're not missing anything. But As far as my one match to watch from this show, easily Triple H and Chris Benoit. Fantastic stuff from both guys. And yeah, I give the show a thumbs up. So check it out if you want on the WWE Network. So that about does it for my review of No Mercy 2000. If you guys want to check out me on social media, follow me on Twitter at WrestleRant. Find me on Facebook at facebook.com/graham.jason.matthews. Check out the website at nexterwrestling.net. And last but not least, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. All support is greatly appreciated. So I'll be back on Tuesday. I'll be at Raw tomorrow, which is pretty exciting. But I'll be back on Tuesday with my full review of No Mercy 2001. Till then, guys, enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'm Graham Jason Matthews, and I'll catch you guys down the road.